Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. As usual, we have a lot to cover today, despite concerns from legal groups that some people have been misidentified and deported without due process. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says she's pretty confident that the individuals being sent to a mega prison in El Salvador are exactly where they're supposed to be. Camping World CEO is defiant as he faces a lawsuit over his company's huge American flag, saying the flag will not come down. We have the latest in this ongoing saga. And country music legend Dolly Parton has some ground rules for a young rising star who will be collaborating with her on one of her hits, telling the young performer, don't say bad words while working with me. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham picked up some important endorsements for his 2026 re-election campaign at a news conference at the beautiful Carolina Pregnancy Center in Spartanburg yesterday. I have the details for you there.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says that she's pretty confident that the individuals being sent to a mega prison in El Salvador are exactly where they should be. Noem traveled to El Salvador last week to tour the terrorist confinement center, commonly referred to as the CCOT. The Trump administration, as you know, has flown criminal migrants, many of whom are alleged Venezuelan gang members, to the CCOT in recent weeks as it works to mass deport those illegally entering our country under President Joe Biden. This, of course, is the prison where the 200 plus were flown to when the federal judge tried to stop them in midair, and the flight was already over international waters, international airspace, and did not return. The DHS secretary, in a special interview on Special Report with Brett Baer, referred to the foreign terrorist organizations, MS-13, for example, Trende Oraga, and said that she felt like that the American people needed to see where they were being taken, and she described her visit to this El Salvador prison.
Well, my task as Homeland Security Secretary is to secure the homeland of the United States of America. So I have jurisdiction over every person that comes in and out of this country, every product that comes in and out of this country, and everything that transpires over the internet. Talking to these presidents of these three countries was very productive. I had a conversation with the president of El Salvador about the TDA members that he accepted and took into his CCOT prison. We toured that prison, which I'm sure you are well aware of, and
that was
saw
some
the
of the most
conditions
striking images from that trip,
Yeah.
of you touring that prison. Just the image alone, was that sending a message?
Yes, people need to see that image. They need to see that the United States is going to use every tool that we have to make our communities safer, that is a consequence of someone who is a terrorist. The president has declared Trende Aragua and MS-13 as terrorist organizations, and the president of El Salvador has as well. The only people allowed in that prison are terrorists. And to tour that and to look at that was giving the American people the transparency that they want out of their government. They were able to see exactly where we're sending these people who have murdered and raped Americans, that have decimated communities, and there's going to be consequences for individuals who continue to do that. My conversation with that president was, will you take more of these terrorists? And he said, absolutely, we will. We will take the worst of the worst and make sure that they're facing consequences for what they've done to your country.
She went on to explain that while they were at the prison, she talked about how they identified the members of these terrorist organizations, what they did, the actions they took, the case files that they had built on them, and how they verified that those individuals should be in that prison. Look, these legal organizations that are filing suit, trying to protect these people, had better be careful, because their family, their office, their community could be the next victim of one of these mobs. The White House, of course, is embroiled in legal battles over its ability to use the 1798 Wartime Alien Enemies Act to deport suspected gang members. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg issued the temporary restraining order in mid-March. And as we talked with you last week, the Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to overturn Boasberg's temporary restraining order and allow it to continue deporting suspected gang members. El Salvador's president announced yesterday that the transfer and arrival of 17 additional suspected gang members who he says were linked to TDA and the MS-13. The president posted on X, all individuals are confirmed murderers and high-profile offenders, including 6 child rapists. He said this operation is another step in the fight against terrorism and organized crime. El Salvador's president is working hand-in-hand with our Department of Homeland Security. Ms. Noem told Fox News political anchor Brett Baer that she spoke with President Bukele during her trip and that he agreed to take in, as you heard her say, more of the worst of the worst. The DHS secretary responded to Democrats' claims that any immigrant accused of association with gangs or cartels can be deported without due process, arguing that they're trying to use fear to control people. And that's all it's about. They are trying to use fear. You would think that they're rounding up young children and taking them, deporting them. I promise you, the people that they're arresting are people we don't want in our country. They're people that we can't afford to have in our country. Meanwhile, the illegal immigrant accused of killing an Atlanta area grandmother has been indicted and now faces additional disturbing charges related to this brutal murder. Speaking of brutality, Hector David Rivas, a 21-year-old Honduran illegal alien, was caught and released at the border by the Biden administration in March of 2021 and has had an active deportation order since July 2023 after he ignored a deportation order. Because they ignored this because they knew they could do it and get away with it, because they knew Joe Biden's administration did not care. And word got around quickly that you can do this and they'll never come after you. They're not going to look for you. Cobb County police say that Rivas killed Camilla Williams, a 51-year-old mother of 5 and a grandmother, then dumped her body in the woods in a neighborhood, drawing parallels to the tragic murder of nursing student Laken Riley. I mean, it's very similar, who was also killed by caught and released illegal and left in the woods in Georgia. In addition to felony and malice murder, Rivas is now being charged with aggravated assault, aggravated sexual battery, and rape. Authorities say that Rivas choked Williams until she was unconscious. Then he put his knees on her neck and used his full body's weight to kill her. Williams was later found in the bushes of a neighborhood yard in Marietta, Georgia, a popular Atlanta suburb. I mean, this is why we got to get these people out of our country. These new charges were released in an indictment published last Friday. According to the woman's family, she had been worried about being followed in the days leading up to her murder. Her family is now left shocked and devastated by the killing, as any would be. Any wood's going to be shocked if one of their beloved family members is treated like this. The victim's brother, Arsene Williams, told Fox News, "We just have problems with people in this country that are murderers, rapists, abusers. We don't need that over here. We've already got enough of that in our own society." There's no indication so far of what the defendant will plead. The Department of Homeland Security says that Mr. Revis entered the United States illegally on March 17, 2021, and was arrested by the U.S. Border Patrol. The statement said he was issued a notice to appear and paroled in the country by the previous administration. A judge ordered him removed on July 11, 2023. On March 18, 2025, he was arrested by the Cobb County Police Department for capital murder and other crimes. The statement said that ICE has lodged an immigration detainer with the Cobb County Jail. President Trump and Secretary Noem will not allow criminal illegal aliens, including accused murderers, to be loose on America's streets. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, of course, has been critical, has denounced the Biden administration for enabling this gruesome attack, because this is more blood on Joe Biden's hands, for sure. Noem said this illegal alien should have never been in our country in the first place. President Trump and I are putting the safety of Americans first. And she's right. If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had done their job, if they had not allowed our borders to be open, this guy would have never been here, and this grandmother would still be with her grandchildren and her children. At what point does Joe Biden not be held responsible for this? At what point does Kamala Harris not be held responsible? Maybe she should think about doing something other than running for governor of California. She should never be allowed to serve in another elected office. Never. She should be banned totally. You agree? Email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Hi, Joey Hudson here. You know, this spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part, because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Continuing today's show, as we're talking about these illegal immigrants who are murdering people, who are raping people, and this is not exaggeration. This latest case in Georgia is just that. He murdered this mother and this grandmother. According to charges, he's being charged with rape as well, so we assume that he raped her. So it's not an exaggeration when President Trump and others say that we have to get the murderers and the rapists out of our country, because that's who we're looking at. That's who is here. Let's take this by the numbers, though, because when you just look at some of the numbers in the short couple of months since Donald Trump was sworn in on January 20th, it's amazing what you can do in that length of time. And it just makes you even sicker to think that Joe Biden could have easily done the same, and we would not be in the situation that we are in today. And we wouldn't have spent the billions and billions of dollars that we have on these illegals. So let's take it by the numbers. An exclusive New York Post article gives us some of the details on actual numbers in these past couple of months. Deportations by Immigration and Customs Enforcement surged above 100,000. You heard me right, 100,000 since President Trump returned to the White House in January. And as he maintains his promise to boot illegal immigrants out of our country, these gangbangers, these suspected terrorists, the president says he's going to run them off. He's going to escort them out. He's going to give them a one-way flight to El Salvador. And he means it. ICE officials have made 113,000 arrests and carried out north of 100,000 deportations since Donald Trump's January 20th inauguration. This according to a Department of Homeland Security source and written in this report by the New York Post yesterday. Think about that. In just over 2 months, 113,000 arrests and have deported 100,000. Now, those are small numbers compared to the millions who have snuck in. But still, that's a lot of people considering that Joe Biden didn't have the stomach to send any of them back home, didn't have the stomach to even get the worst of the worst and send them back to from whence they came. An ICE source said, speaking of President Trump, he's doing what he was voted in to do, point blank. And that's right. This is what the American people asked him to do. This is why he was given a mandate, a landslide victory in November. Now, it wasn't immediately clear, according to the Post, how many detainees are convicted criminals, the status of their cases, and their national origins. Those sources believe the majority are being removed to Mexico. Trump campaigned heavily, as you know, on cracking down on illegal immigration. He said, I'll start it on day one, and he did. He declared an emergency at the border. He sent thousands of additional troops to the region. He shut down the asylum system to illegal crossovers. That's when he just turned off that app, the app that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had developed to make it easier on people to come into our country, the CBP app. He just turned it off. Wouldn't you have loved to have seen the reaction on someone in Mexico who was headed towards our border thinking they were going to get into our country, and they pull up their app to see when their appointment is, and suddenly it's gone? It's just not there anymore. According to the Post, ICE has since maxed out its detention space and is asking Congress to fund additional beds to support the Trump administration's deportation campaign that yielded 32,000 arrests in its first 50 days. Trump has also taken aggressive measures to quell transnational criminal organizations. He's invoked the Alien Enemies Act, the act that has the left standing on their head. This is where that activist judge, James Boasberg, comes in, claiming that it's not the not proper use of that law. 17 alleged Trende Arga and MS-13 gangbangers were handed over to El Salvador in shackles Sunday night. This was a way that they were already at Guantanamo Bay. So I think this is sort of a way of avoiding Judge Boasberg's order, because they didn't fly them back. It was just a transfer from Guantanamo Bay. Illegal crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border have fallen to levels not seen in decades, hitting a stunning new low in March, with DHS sources calling it the Trump effect. Illegal entries into the United States are no longer a backdoor way to getting status, a source with ICE said. Border agents rarely saw 7,000 migrants enter illegally in March. Wow. That's down 94%. 94%, and all Trump had to do was close the border and put some troops down there and let the word out that you're not welcome here anymore, and if you try to get in, there are going to be consequences. And by the way, if you're already here, we're going to pick you up. We're going to find you. If you've been released on your own recognizance and you have broken our law, we're going to find you. We're coming after you. Wow. That 94% from the 137,000 people who poured across the border in March of last year under Joe Biden, it follows February crossings of roughly 8,300 illegal migrants, the lowest in at least 25 years. We're breaking records, and we're breaking the right kind of records. Migrants are scared that there are consequences now, one DHS source told the New York Post, adding, everyone who is caught is charged and does time. There's no exceptions. And word's getting out. The sources said that most of the illegal crossings took place in the San Diego and El Paso border sectors. I guess maybe they think that they're safer in California. I don't know. But look, Trump's going to come get you in California, too. Gavin Newsom can't protect you. If the border crossings continue to stay at these levels, according to the Post, the U.S. could see the number of illegal migrants hit a low not seen since 1968. That's unbelievable, isn't it? And again, all Trump has to do was say, let's close the border. We're going to put some troops down there. Now, he's started back building the wall. He's doing other things to make this permanent. But wow, if he's got it to record lows now, imagine what's going to take place when he gets the wall built and he gets permanent agents down there. This is the direction we need to go. This is why we elected him in November. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Had a great time yesterday over in Spartanburg at Carolina Pregnancy Center. Although we're more than a year away from the 2026 elections, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham received some important endorsements for his reelection bid. Appearing at a news conference in Spartanburg at the Carolina Pregnancy Center, the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life American Candidate Fund, their president, Marjorie Dannenfelser, said that she could not think of another place she'd rather be than upstate South Carolina, showing her support for Senator Lindsey Graham.
Well, there's no place I would be otherwise. I've worked with him over the years, and there is no one in D.C., no one elected to office that has done more than he at really critical moments over the last couple of decades. So I think it's also important for the on the national level to highlight who are the champions and kind of show what the standard is.
And she wasn't the only one voicing her support for the decades of work that Lindsey Graham has put into the pro-life movement. In addition to the national SBA Pro-Life America group, Senator Graham also picked up endorsements from state and local organizations as well. Lisa Van Riper, president of South Carolina Citizens for Life, also offered her support of Graham, describing him as a longtime advocate for the life and protection of the unborn.
Senator Graham, because of all this, he has been a stalwart defender of the life of the unborn while caring for the mother. This commitment to legal defense of life is not a matter of my opinion. It is evidenced by decades of action, 100% pro-life voting record, sponsor of pro-life legislation, and resistance to judicial activism. Senator Graham has consistently opposed taxpayer funding of abortion on demand, the exporting of abortion to other countries, and restrictions on First Amendment freedoms for those who oppose abortion.
Pro-life leaders and a group of pastors joined Graham for a tour and this press event at Carolina Pregnancy Center. If you're not familiar with Carolina Pregnancy Center, you need to get familiar. This is a great organization. Back last year, they moved into their new facilities over there. Alexa Newman, my friend, has done a fabulous job, seeing her team. And they're caring for these young mothers and these young fathers, and they're helping them. They're walking alongside them as they bring a new life into this world. And it's just a great organization. They have their annual fundraiser coming up in just over a week or so. If you're interested in supporting them, just email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. You can text me as well, and I'll get you some information. But, boy, they offer free and confidential pregnancy testing. And the best part of what they do is their ultrasound service. They get a young mother in there, young father in there, and when they see that ultrasound and they see that there's a living, breathing being in that mother's womb, it's hard to abort them then. And once they have the child, that's when the work begins. That they help them with diapers and wipes and clothing, mentorships, education and child development, parenting skills, all the things that new parents need to know. And it's not just the mothers. What I love about Carolina Pregnancy, they also work with the fathers. They allow fathers they help them with jobs and all, and they earn what they call daddy dollars, and they're able to spend those daddy dollars in their stores to buy supplies for their child. South Carolina's pregnancy centers have served nearly 13,800 women, men, and youth in 2022, according to the latest data available. They provided more than $3.1 million in materials and services, over half, $1.6 million of which was medical services, typically free of charge to the recipient. Senator Graham was very clear that now is the time to defund Planned Parenthood.
Fall short, it won't be because of trying to stop using your taxpayer dollars to pay for abortions. It's time to get Planned Parenthood defunded. Science moves on, sometimes good, sometimes bad. We can tell you a lot about the unborn child today we couldn't tell you back in 1973. In 1973, Roe v. Wade said, no elected official, federal or state, can have a say about the unborn until medical viability. That is no longer the law of the land. And medical viability in 1973 is a lot different than it is today. There are babies being born that could not have been born in 1973 because of the advancement of science. So what's the law of the land today? The Dobbs decision got it right. Elected officials at the state and local level, federal level, can craft laws protecting the unborn if they choose. So I choose to be involved in Washington and South Carolina through my elected capacity to help the unborn child with love in my heart, not animosity.
Senator Graham also spoke about the abortion pill, and this is one of those situations to where these evil people and organizations like Planned Parenthood are trying to help these young people, these young mothers, find ways around an abortion in areas where they can't get an abortion. And it's called the abortion pill. Senator Graham said that it's time for Congress to put restrictions on the distribution of these pills in states like ours that have banned abortion at certain times. And as the pills are being used as a way to avoid the abortion laws in some states, he says that there's got to be some responsibility there. There's got to be some penalty there. And it's time for the federal government, the Congress, to step in and do something about this.
There's no limit on this prescription, then you will have wiped out every pro-life law on the books at the state level. It is imperative that Congress act. And President Trump has been a great pro-life president. I think he understands this. If you believe the state should have the first and most important chance to protect life, then you cannot allow the abortion pill to be sold through the mail or prescribed in states that regulate abortion, because you will have destroyed the laws on the books. The FDA approving a drug does not override state law. I hope everybody understands that in my business, because the FDA approves a drug, that does not trump state law in the area of protecting the unborn. I'm going to lead from the front on this, because if we don't get this right, there are no pro-life laws left on the books, because the pill, if administered without any restrictions, will wipe them all off the table. We're not going to let that happen.
And that is something that needs attention. and quickly. I wasn't aware of just how available the abortion pill is until recently in talking with Brenda Feast at the Crossroads Women's Center in Greenwood recently. And by the way, they have Dr. Ben Carson coming up this Friday in Greenwood. If you're in that area and would like to help your local organization who's helping these young mothers and these young fathers bring these children into the world. Brenda, though, was the first one who really stressed to me just how prevalent these abortion pills are. Senator Graham's right. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop it. On a lighter note, Senator Graham joined President Trump for a round of golf this past weekend. You may have seen this reported. It was the Trump International Member Guest Championship. And guess who won? Trump's team won. I asked Senator Graham about the secret of winning and who was keeping score. Follow-up question unrelated to that. You won the Member Guest Club Championship.
Yeah.
Who was keeping score?
Well, we're hard to beat. So, I don't know who was keeping, so I hope it wasn't Trey. So we had, this is the team. President Trump's a very good golfer. The President of Finland played at Firmin, very good golfer. Trey Gowdy, very good golfer, very bad dresser, but great golfer. And Gary Player, a Hall of Fame, legendary giant of the game, and me. I brought almost nothing to the table, but we won anyway.
Thank you.
It was so much fun.
Thank you, Senator. Can you imagine what a round of golf with Donald Trump must be like? Now, that would be a dream, to be able to play a round of golf with Donald Trump. And not necessarily because he's President Donald Trump. I just think it would be a blast. That's the thing I love about golf. And I'm kind of like Lindsey Graham. I'm not that good, although I think I could probably beat Senator Graham. I don't know. But the thing about golf is you get to know people in about 4 hours. It takes you about 4 hours. If you're in a tournament, maybe closer to 5. But during that period of time, if you're playing golf with someone you've never met before, you get to know a lot about that person in that short period of time. You learn about their kids. You learn about their wife. You learn about their job, their careers, their path in life. You learn about their spiritual life, their church. I mean, you talk about all these things. You talk about things during golf that men probably wouldn't ordinarily talk about in any other atmosphere. But it's just a lot of fun. So I can't imagine what it would be like to be out on the golf course with Donald Trump. Because Secret Service, they're lurking around in the bushes. You think they help him find his ball? Wow. Yes. So if you have any connections and you can get me a round of golf with President Donald Trump, you'll be my hero. Maybe that's something that could happen in the next 4 years before he leaves office. Hey, look, I'll wait till he leaves office and then do it. That would just be a lot of fun. I don't even have to be in the member guest tournament. But I bet that was a lot of fun because we have a president who's a lot of fun. I've had a number of you write about last week's story regarding the Yeti products and them canceling the order for the young conservative group. Albert writes, I'm running behind in listening to your program. That's okay, Albert, as long as you get caught up. He says, in regard to Yeti's decision to cancel an order for the conservative women's organization, I've removed or covered the Yeti logo on the products I own. I'm a little conflicted there too, Albert, because they're not inexpensive. And so maybe that's a good idea, is to cover it. Or I wonder if you could grind the Yeti off. I don't know. Anyway, Albert says if this was a woke organization's order being canceled, a federal judge would jump in and make Yeti fill the order. No more Yeti products. Their product is good for less money available. You're right there, Albert. The CEO of Camping World, a national RV dealer with stores in 200-plus locations, is facing a lawsuit by another city over its massive American flag that waves outside of its dealership. Now, this is not the first time that this situation has come up. Camping World is known for their huge American flags. If you've ever been by a Camping World, most of them are located on interstate highways, and you can see them miles before you get to them because of that big, beautiful, waving American flag. Well, city leaders in Greenville, North Carolina, voted 4-2 last week to initiate legal action to take down the American flag at a Camping World dealership. The vote came amid another lawsuit filed by the city of Sevierville, Tennessee. Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis said last week, after the city council in Greenville voted to authorize the filing of civil action against the company, that, hey, they can sue if he wants to. The flag's staying where it is.
Well, this isn't the first time this has happened. We've been dealing with this for years, and we have these flags around the country, and they've been part of my fabric since I was a little kid. We dealt with it in Statesville, Morgan Hill, California, Onalaska, Wisconsin, and now Greenville, North Carolina. And I think this is a perfect example, and Liz was talking about this just a minute ago, of local and city and state municipalities putting regulations on businesses that don't advance the business. They just create more noise and unnecessary distractions.
Marcus, I've been a huge fan of your show, The Prophet. You transition. You got a new show coming up, right, called The Fixer, that's coming out with Fox.
The Fixer on Fox.
The Fixer on Fox. I'm looking forward to that. But talk to us about business, because I feel in this country there's this surge of patriotism that we haven't seen in a long time. But flying Old Glory, flying the flag is just good business, right? I mean, customers love to see it. Why does Camping World go to, and I love Camping World. I've shopped there, great there. There's one near my house, and I love it. But it just seems like flying the flag is also good business.
Well, I don't do it for that reason, to be candid with you. I do it because I believe in it. I'm an immigrant to this country. This country gave me an opportunity to earn a living and to employ 13,000 people. I just choose to have a big flag because I've had one since I was a little kid. And that's my way of expressing to the veterans and our customer base how much we believe in it. I want to take you back, if I may, to the kind of regulations, whether it's the size of the flag or the price of eggs, that are really hurting business. And as I start to work with small businesses again on the Fixer, I think about all the different regulations that we've put in front of them. In California, I'm dealing with my RV business, dealing with SB 253, which is now this crazy law that's telling me that I have to write down every company vehicle, where it drove, how many miles it drove, how often the golf carts are being used, because there's this idea that we're emitting gases into the environment. Look, we are inside of the environment. The business of selling campers is to enjoy the outside. But asking me to hire more people to keep track of where the truck went to deliver a part is just a good example, a small example of why things got more expensive. When you regulate business to the point where they have to add layers of expense and they need to still maintain profitability, you have essentially created inflation through regulation.
That was Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis on Fox News yesterday. The Greenville, North Carolina City Council said that the flag is nearly the size of a basketball court at 3,200 square feet. It flies on a pole that stands 130 feet tall, almost double the size of what is currently allowed. Marcus Lemonis posted an image of a complaint filed in March by the city of Sevierville, another situation, which had requested the removal of a 100-foot flagpole on this property, which flies at 40 feet by 80 feet. He said, the flag will not come down, as he posted on X. It's not the first time, as he said, that this RV giant, and this guy's like a billionaire, okay? So these small towns, or any size town for that matter, they don't scare him. But he has defied orders to remove the huge Camping World flags in a number of places around the country. He's had similar experiences across the country, and even takes on daily fines in some areas. He said that they dealt with Statesville, North Carolina. I remember that vividly when that was going on. Morgan Hill, California. Onalaska, Wisconsin. He said, I think this is a perfect example of local and city-state municipalities putting regulations on businesses where they don't need to be. Lemonis was born in Lebanon. He was left on the doorstep of an orphanage. According to the Camping World website, a couple from Miami adopted him when he was 9 years old. He grew up watching his family in the car dealership business, flying the American flag. He has been defiant amid requests to take down the flags, and again, in a number of places. I don't think he's going to be intimidated. And as you heard him talk about too, or he was questioned about his successful series called The Prophet, where he comes in and he mentors failing businesses, and he actually invests his own money. If he thinks it's a business that has a future, he'll invest money in it and try to make it successful. We'll watch this one. I can tell you, I'm going to put my money on Marcus Lemonis. Ahead of working on a collaboration with singer Sabrina Carpenter on her hit song Please, 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 country music legend Dolly Parton has some conditions for the up-and-coming star. Parton told Knox News in relationship to what she had told this young lady as they were starting to work together. She said, I told her, now I don't cuss, I don't make fun of Jesus, and I don't talk bad about God, and I don't say dirty words on camera, but I'm known to get a little mad. The rendition of the duo's collaboration of Please, Please, Please was posted on YouTube back a couple of weeks ago. Carpenter's original version of the song contains the phrase, I beg you don't embarrass me, MF, please, please, please. The version with Parton was changed to, I beg you don't embarrass me like the others, oh, please, please, please. Hey, look, and it just proves that you can have a hit song without having the bad language in it. Good for Dolly Parton. The music video depicts Parton and Carpenter driving together in what appears to be a pickup truck, with the young Carpenter wearing a sweater with a headband and gloves, an apparent nod to retro style and a stark departure from Carpenter's outfits in the original Please, 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 which was all sequins and shiny. Ahead of working on the collaboration, they talked about what they could do and what they couldn't do. And look, it isn't the first time that Parton has partnered with another big-name artist. In 2024, she collaborated with Beyonce on several songs for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album, including a cover of Parton's classic Jolene. And look, she's done this for years. Dolly Parton has teamed up with many big stars over the years. Kenny Rogers, they did a number of duets. Whitney Houston, and the list goes on and on. Look, she said, while Parton is working on Dolly, an original musical, which is scheduled to premiere in July of this summer at the Fisher Center at Performing Arts in Nashville, which, by the way, I'm planning to go to that. It's a Broadway musical, basically, that's opening in Nashville about Parton's life. It'll eventually make its way to New York. That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by Mike Gallagher, Bill Frady, Charlie James this afternoon, Mark Levin early evening. We're back again tomorrow at 5 a.m. for that first cup of coffee in Sunrise, Carolina. Till then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.